So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Women Who Rock with Success. This is our platform where we spotlight, we feature women. We also share different tools, tips, and resources to be able to enhance the business for women so they can be able to grow and to have that impeccable niche for their branding. So good morning, my name is Diane Winbush. I am the host, the CEO, and founder of Women Who Rock with Success. So today we have an interesting guest that is in the studio with us. Is going to be talking about a lot of creative ideas for women in regards to writing a book. So many times we write things down, but we have to craft it. We have to make sure it's structured. We have to make sure it's proofreaded. Sometimes when we have the wrong grammar, we can have the wrong phrases. Even sometimes our books can have plagiarized content on the inside of it that can cause us to get into some legalities. And so this is the reason why we're having this event on today in order to help you, whether you're a Christian individual, whether you're non-Christian. This will be able to impact. You can be able to put this in your portfolio so it can help you to be able to create better writing, better tools, better resources so people can be able to listen. The first three sentences out of a book, if it doesn't drive me in, I put the book down. I'm not going to read it no longer. And so this will be able to help you along the way. So we're going to bring into our speaker, and I'm going to give you a little bit of information about her. And her name is Paulette Hopper. And Paulette is a Amazon #1 two-time award-winning, see there, you're getting all of the fruits right here today, best-selling author. She is and I apologize if I can't chime you in right now. Just hold on for a second and we'll chime you in after I get through introducing the speaker. She is a sought-out actor, speaker, and she's a pastor. Her mission is to help women find hope through transformation, restoration, and reclaiming their lives via workshops, conferences, and seminars. So I'm going to give you that little bit about her, and then she can be able to come to the platform and introduce herself a little bit further and share with you as to why this was her passion. And we will be in the hands of Paulette Hopper.
Well, hello, everyone. What a pleasant honor. What an honor to be here today. And I'm extremely blessed to be able to come and share with you my zone of genius and as it relates to writing your story, writing your authentic story. But a little bit more about me. My inspiration for becoming a published author and then being a book coach came from my own messy story. And my messy story of being married for 23 years and then going through a divorce and just really getting a nudge from the Lord as to what to do with my life. And so he, the direction for me was to write my story. And that's really where my passion came, because I realized that my mouth had been, and my experiences had been muted. As traumatic as it was still an opportunity for me to unmask my emotions, unmask the trauma, and really share my authentic story. And that's really how I got started. And then from sharing my story about the divorce and what it did to me, I began to connect with other people who had stories just like mine, who had stories that of triumph. But to get to triumph, you have to get through pain. You have to go through trials and testings to get to the triumph. And so they had stories that resonated with me, and they connected with me and wanted me to help them in the process of bringing their stories to life. And so, and that's what I do. So I'm the book coach to ambitious Christian speakers, entrepreneurs, and coaches who have a story to tell. I teach them how to take the mic, write those best-selling stories so they can impact this world with the message that they have, and without being with being unapologetically transparent in doing it. So that's my That's my inspiration. That's why, I'm here to share with you my expertise and help you unlock your voice, because your story, no matter how great it is, how small it is, how traumatic it is, how successful it is, someone needs to hear your story. And just like, Diane said, we need to learn how to craft our stories because there's a way to do it. And so I want to share with you today some tips and strategies on how to do that, some actionable steps that you can take away with you today that's going to help you be able to craft your story so that you can share your authentic message with people who want to hear what you have to say. So get your notepad, your pen, whatever you need, and take some copious notes because we finna dive on in. So we're talking about how to write your story, how to write your nonfiction book. And so when I talk about nonfiction, I'm talking about stories of transformation, stories of self-help stories. I'm talking about stories of subject matter. And so as we dive in, I'll share with you the difference between those stories and then stories that we say, we want to write our life story. So imagine that you're finally able to write the book without the struggle and delays. Imagine that you are a published author and you are an influencer in your area of genius. Imagine you're finally able to have a clear, conscious, concise message that gets you on stages, just like I'm on the stage today. So just imagine being able to have the opportunity to share your message with the world. So the first thing that we need to do is really decide what type of book we're going to write. What kind of story that's going to resonate with our tribe, our audience, the people that we want to really influence. So what type of book are you writing? So of course, this teaching and this workshop is for those who want to write nonfiction, those who want to write self-help books, transformational stories, subject matter, and also how-to books, because these, believe it or not, are the stories that people buy. These are the stories that people want to read because they bring solutions to people. And when we're writing our stories, there are three things that we always need to keep in mind: that we want to bring a solution, we want to bring value, and we want to give the readers a win. Always remember that when you're writing your story, and when you can keep that in your focus and keep that as your springboard, your why, then you'll always be able to write a story that there's an audience for. So we first need to determine what type of book we want to write. So when I'm asking authors, aspiring authors, what is it that you want to write? A lot of them say, I want to write my life story. I want to write my life story. So I'm going to share with you what that means and what that would look like when we say we want to write our life story. And so when we want to write a life story, it's really called an autobiography or a memoir. And we're looking at books like Cicely Tyson's book. We're looking at books like Barack Obama or even Michelle Obama. Those are life stories. Those are memoirs. Those are autobiographies. And you're talking about pages of 500 to 1,000 or more pages, because this is a memoir, an autobiography, a life story encompasses this person's entire life. It's an account of their whole life story. Of course, it's written by them. And these types of stories takes 3 to 10 years to complete, and sooner if you have a ghostwriter. So I want us to shift our perspective. I want us to shift our mindset and not think about writing a life story, because your story and my story, it needs to be written quickly so that readers can read it, readers can find solutions, and readers can begin to apply what we shared in our stories. And so I know for me, I wanted to just write a season in my life that transpired, and that's why I wrote my first book. I talked about my divorce. I talked about the trauma that I had gone through, but it was just a transformational trajectory in my life that shifted my life. And so that's the journey that I went on, and that is a self-help book. It is a how-to book. It is a transformational story book. So instead of sharing our life story or writing a memoir or an autobiography that's going to take us years and years and years to complete, let's think about share a message that brings the value, the solution, and it gives the reader a result. It gives them a win, several wins, okay? Our stories should connect with our audience, with our tribe, and move them into action. We want them to make some type of change and to do something different. Our stories remind our readers of how they can become and what they are able to overcome, because our stories are not they're not for us. They've been written for us, but they are really for an audience. They are about us, but they're really for an audience. So these types of stories, these are just seasons and moments in our lives, and maybe you could be a subject matter. You want to talk about a subject that you are an expert in. Maybe you are a coach, or you are a finance coach, or a health coach, a fitness coach, and you have some tips and some strategies and a system that has just really worked for you to get you the results. Well, I can tell you there are readers who want those same kind of results, and so they want your story. So when we talk about stories that are going to bring solutions and value and give people results, we're talking about stories that bring hope, stories that bring possibilities. We're talking about stories that self-help books. So we're talking about stories that, for instance, you can go on Amazon and you can see, for instance, Lisa Nichols has written a book called No Matter What, 9 Steps to Living Your Life You Love. These are the types of stories that people are going to resonate to, because it gives them a step-by-step process on whatever particular area that they're seeking for. Valerie Burton wrote a book called Successful Women Think Differently, 9 Habits to Build Confidence. And these are the types of stories, the self-help books that's going to really pull readers in, because there's an audience, there is a specific target, there is a specific genre that this is for. Some other books are called, you can look at these, 10 Pillars of Wealth, 10 Words to Live By, 9 Steps to Financial Freedom, 10 Habits of a Serial Entrepreneur. I mean, these are teachable moments that people want to gravitate to, because one, they are giving a reader a step-by-step system that they need. And it gives the reader an idea as to, I can apply certain things. I can take away nuggets from these types of self-help books. And these are the books that sell. These are the books that people definitely are looking for. So the first thing we need to do is get clear on our story. So once we decide that we're going to write a subject matter book, a self-help book, a transformational story, we want to get clear on the story and identify the best book idea. And so how do we pick a topic? Because a lot of us have so many experiences. We have so many lessons that we have learned over the years. Which one do I pick? And so I share with my clients, pick up a topic that you're passionate about. What are you an expert in? Maybe it's business, maybe it is finances, maybe it's a relationship. A lot of people now are taking care of their parents, and so maybe you are a caretaker and you want to write about the steps that it took you to care for your parents, your grandparents. Think about a subject that you are just really interested in, you have skilled in, you are crafty in, and you want to share those strategies with your audience. An experience that taught you lessons in life. I shared about my divorce that really opened up the door for me to be able to write other stories and resonate with other people. I was a pastor, I had emotional trauma, and I wrote that story. And so I had an audience who was waiting to resonate with me because they fit those categories. You want to write about a life or a season or a period in your life that definitely was transformational. What transformation or what happened in your life that changed the trajectory of your life? I can tell you this, those are the stories that people definitely are going to resonate with because you are not by yourself. There are other people that are going through the same things as you and I, but people want a solution. They want to know how you made it. And so these are the stories that people really are going to resonate with. So before we begin to really write our message, there's a couple of things that we have to decide on. And one is our why. Why are you writing your story? Why is it that you want to share your expertise? Why is it that you want to share the lessons that you have learned in life? Why? Know why you want to write your story. Are you writing to educate them? Are you writing to teach, to transform lives? And then once you decide why you're writing your story, then what is it that you want readers to come away with? What is it that you want readers to extract from your story? Do you want them to walk away with a system? Do you want them to walk away with some solutions that they can apply to their lives? Do you want them to walk away with some great ideas? Do you want them to walk away with being changed by your story? What is it that you want readers to walk away with? Because there's so many books out there, our books really have to identify with the readers because the readers are saying, what's in it for me? Why should I buy your book compared to all the other books? What are the benefits your book, our books are going to meet for that reader? Because when they flip over the back of the book and they read the synopsis about the book, those things that your synopsis should pull them in, because your synopsis is going to give them exactly what that book is about. It's going to share who that audience, who that book is for. It's going to give them the nuggets that they need, and it's going to inspire them. It should pull them in to want to say, okay, this book is going to help me overcome this. This book is going to help me identify with these problems and give me a solution to how I can be better, how I can do better. And so you want to give readers the benefits of your book, of our books. So once you get your why and you know why why you are writing your story and what you want the readers to extract from it, this really keeps you focused. It keeps you on track. It keeps you clear on your goal. You're not writing in a tangent. You're not writing all over the place. You have clear direction and idea, because I'm writing my story for this audience. I'm sharing these lessons with this audience, and it keeps you focused on what you're writing, why you're writing, so that you're not going all over the place with your story and you find yourself just writing stuff just because you're writing, you want to write a book. This also saves you time. It streamlines the process by not adding unnecessary content. And so these types of transformational stories, self-help books, they are clear, they're concise, they're focused, they have an exact audience, and these are the stories that people want to read. And as I mentioned, what is it that you want readers to take away from reading our books? So you want to create a premise for the book and a promise for the reader. And so a premise for the book is my book, my first book that I wrote. My book is about emotional trauma. I went through a divorce. It's about emotional trauma. from an ex-pastor's wife who lived through it. So that's the premise of my book. So that would be the synopsis. So I'm reaching out to people who have gone through emotional trauma, pastors' wives, ministers' wives, and people who've gone through divorce. So there's 3 audiences right there, and so when I give a premise and people read that, I'm going to pull those readers in who meet that category. Those are my tribe. That's my audience. And so the promise is the reader will get, and I'm using my book as an example here. The reader will get a confidant, someone who knows what they are going through because they've been there and have the answers to those tough questions. I'm talking about readers who have gone through divorce, trauma, and been in ministry as well. And so the women who read this book, we're talking about a premise and a promise. The readers who read this book, this is the promise to my readers. The women who read this book will feel empowered, hopeful, inspired to stand in the face of fear and move in the next chapter of her life. So you want to give readers a reason why they should read your story. And it's all about the readers, the benefits that we give to the readers. So how do I write the right book? How do I write the right book? There's a three-step process here. How do I write the right book? One is to determine my why, know my purpose, and know how it's going to help the reader. Then I decide on the type of book I want to write. I have to be intentional, I have to be very clear, and I have to be precise. The type of book I want to write. And then it's about finishing the book. And so you create your outline from your book. Once you determine your why, you know the kind of book you want to write. Then it's about creating the outline, our story mapping, or mapping out the chapters in your book. And so for these types of book, I would suggest, writing or creating, 7 to 10 chapters in your book, and maybe some sub chapters, and then create the content. So that would look like this. So in say, for instance, you are writing a book on health and fitness. You are a fitness coach. And so your book is all about, building your fitness. It's all about losing weight. It's all about, the making your making your life better, healthy, a healthier lifestyle. So my first chapter could be, the 5 foods that give you best protein. And then within that chapter, then I have all these subtitles or these sub-chapters that talks about the different proteins or the different foods that bring those, the high proteins for our bodies. So you want to make sure that your story is in your chapters that you are creating is going to be very clear. And then inside the chapters that you're going to write exactly what that chapter title is about. So you want to outline it. You want to story map it. You want to map it out so that every chapter that you create, and then you bring the content that's going to support the chapter title. So you create the outline of your book that's going to be 7 to 10 chapters, and then you can have some subtitles or some sub chapters within that chapter. Now, you don't have to have sub chapters. You can just have your chapter title and then just write about it. Just write about what you know when you have created that title or that chapter title. So that's how you write the right book. So our books should do several things. Our books should do several things. One, it should create a business for us. It should create our business. Once we write our books, we can launch our business and our ministry. Our books are business now. And so our books is our business card. It is a business card that's going to open up a lot of other doors for us to grow our business, to grow in the market as far as speaking, as collaborating. It opens up doors for us to be on stages, on different platforms that we can share our message. And also our book, once we write our book and publish our book, it sets us apart as an expert in that, in our genre, in our niche. And so you want to be known for, once you write your book, you'll be known for being an expert, and then being able to share what you know to an audience. So you can launch your business, you can launch your ministry. And it is really a door opener for you and I to be on other stages. It creates opportunities for us to speak. All speakers need a book. And be in position, because it leverages the stage, because you'll always be able to make money at the beginning or the front and the back end of your presentation. So all speakers do need a book. And then our books create influence. Being an author gives you instant influence, gives you credibility as an authority, a go-to person in your field. So what should our books do? Create a business for us, open up speaking opportunities for us, and then also make us influencers in our community and in our expertise and in our areas. So then finally, it is, how do I finally publish this great book that I have? How do I get it out there to an audience? We have all this content. Now, what are the next steps that I do? So once you have your manuscript already, then it's about finding the right editor that's going to edit your book and make your book polished, help you with how to, really write and hone in and clean up a lot of the mistakes we make in our writing. Because when we write our stories, we write like we're communicating. And so an editor will come in and polish it up, and they'll come in and tell us, okay, that sentence, doesn't make sense. I want to move this, paragraph up. You're using, you use that too much, you use the too much. And so this is what an editor does. But you have to find the right editor. You have to find the right editor for your book. A lot of first-time authors, they struggle with the editing process, one, because it is expensive. And so you have to really consider the cost when you think about writing your book. Don't cut corners when it comes to the editing piece of it. Set money aside, make sure that you find the right editor, and then pay them accordingly. So there's different types of editors. Your proofreader should be the last person that you hire before your book goes to print. But you want to find somebody that maybe is a developmental editor or a line-by-line editor. But there are different types of editors, and you have to know the kind of editor that you need before you finally get your book printed. So editing, you need to get that edited. And then you need to find a formatter. A formatter or a typesetter or an interior designer is what they're also called. You want to find somebody who's going to format your book. The format of your book is how it's laid out. How do you want your readers to have a great experience with your book? And in addition, I want to go back to editing. When you find an editor, you want to make sure that your readers do have a great experience about reading your book. One of the things that I see a lot with first-time authors is the fact that they don't want to spend the money for edits. And so because they don't want to spend the money for edits, they release a book on Amazon and reviewers are talking about how horrible the book is. That they didn't have a great experience because they couldn't get past, certain words. They couldn't get past, the grammar's mistakes and whatnot. And so you want to make sure that your readers are going to have a great experience. That's by getting the proper edits done. Now, the formatting is just the layout of the book and how you want it laid out. And so you can look at other different books on how their books are laid out and get an idea of how you want your book laid out as well. And then you want to hire a professional graphic designer who's going to create your book for you and give you book cover that is popping, a book cover that is resonating with your story, a book cover that when they look at the book cover, they get an idea and a sense of what is inside the book. You also want to get your book copywritten. Definitely get your book copywritten. And so you get your book copywritten after you have your manuscript all together. And so you get it copywritten, you send them a PDF, a Word document of your book so that you get your copyrights of your book. That is legally your book. You are legally the author of your book. And you want to make sure you get your book copywritten, because without copyrights, people can take your content and they can publish your book under their name. So you want to make sure that you get your book copywritten, because it protects you as the author, and it protects your manuscript, and it gives you the legal, as you are the legal owner of your book. So you want to make sure that your book is copywritten. You also want to get ISBN numbers and barcodes for your book as well. What you are becoming is your own publisher. You are becoming your own publishing house when you self-publish your own book. And then once you put your book together, it's about deciding what's going to be in the front and the back matter of your book. Meaning your front, are you going to have an acknowledgement page, a dedication page? You definitely need a copyright page. Are you going to have an intro? And then the back matter of the book is, are you going to have a page full of resources for your readers? Are you going to have a Q&A in the back of your book? Are you going to have a call to action in the back of your book? So you have to decide what it is you want your book to be the content of your book, the front and the back matter. And then you have to decide, are you going to publish it through, Amazon, Ingram Sparks? So those are two printers, distributors that you have to decide on how you're going to get your book printed. And so, so that is really, how you go about writing your nonfiction book, the steps and the processes for it. I do want to really invite those of you who are on and you want to write your book, but you need a coach. You need somebody to help guide you and walk you through that process, because I know that it can be very intimidating. I know that it can be, it can be very hard to find out how to do stuff. Even me sharing with you and writing it down, I know you still have a lot of questions, So I have a 90-day program that I'm launching this month in April, in fact, called From Idea to Published Author in 90 Days. And I invite you to join me on the journey to becoming a published author. And some of the greatest things about being part of this program is really me helping you, me coaching you, me being your accountability partner and helping you in this process to get you from creating your idea, helping you story map, helping you map out every chapter, and helping you get clear on your topic, and then showing you the step-by-step process, what it takes to be a published author. Give me 90 days, 12 weeks, and I can guarantee you that if you do the work, you write your story, you will definitely become a published author after the 90 days. So I look forward to connecting with you and sharing with you more how I can help you and how you can go deeper with me in this journey of becoming a published author.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for that. We have learned the who's, the what, the why, and the where, the purpose of publishing a first book from this great author from Amazon bestseller. And so we have unmuted the lines of the audience to see if they have any questions. And I'm going to go first with the first Q&A, and that's in regards to the audience knowing the difference in regards to plagiarism, because a lot of times, and I have done it in the past too. And then once I learned better from that, I was able to say, okay, then let me go back and let me let me correct this, because you have to put everything in a certain format when you are using someone else's words. So if
Mhm.
you would share with the audience a little bit about plagiarism, what it means, the definition, defining it, and then why they want to stay away from plagiarism.
Yeah, definitely. So plagiarism is, it's like what Diane said, it's using other people's words, other people's content, and one, using it in a way like you created it, and one, not giving them the credit for it. And even if you gave them the credit for it, what I, share with people is just create your own, your own quotes, just be safe and not use it, because those are legal matters. And so when you're thinking about, using somebody else's, quote, if you're doing it in a speech, that's fine. You give them their props. But if you're writing it, if you're taking somebody else's content and you didn't get permission, you didn't get the legal okay to do that from them, then they can sue you. And so even I share with my clients, don't even use people's names in your books. If you have a story about, something that, traumatic that happened to you, and someone else was a perpetrator in that pain for you, then even if it's public information, okay, it's out there, but if it's something that's private and it never has been, spoken of, I tell my audience, I say, you know what, we're not going to use their names. We're just going to say he, they, she, the, so we want to be safe. We want to be safe, and we don't want to, share somebody else's, use somebody else's name when we haven't gotten permission to do that. So you just stay away from that, and if create your own quotes, create something else that people can resonate with you because you're the author of that. So I would just highly recommend that, you stay away from using anybody else's information, definitely, that you haven't gotten permission for.
Okay. Okay. So audience, your lines are unmuted. If anyone has any questions for the author, you can be able to ask her whatever that you need to ask her at this time. You got a message?
I have a question. This is Joyce.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, awesome presentation.
Thank you.
And thanks for putting this together, Diane and Paulette. Now, my question is, what if I want to put scripture? I'm really not sure what my copyright rules are about the different versions of scripture. And yet I find that most of the Bibles are on public domain on the internet and on different softwares. So I wonder whether you use scripture in your book and whether you have advice on that.
Yes. So all my books are, scripture based. And so, yes. So with the scriptures, you can reference scriptures. And so there is a website where you can get permission to use scriptures. And all they ask you to do is just, put that on your copyright page, that the scriptures reference that you're using come from King James, come from Passion Translation, Amplified Bible. So there is a website that you can get permission to use scriptures. And so it's okay to put scriptures in your books. You just have to reference that on your copyright page.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
And that was a beautiful presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
I heard you mention your 90-day, basically from idea to publisher. But if you feel like you're on the third phase where you're not necessarily just ready to publish, but you're in the process of everything else is finished, do you recommend starting that 90-day process still, or is there like steps to go ahead and start that process without starting the 90-day process, if that makes sense?
Yes, it does. So you are done writing your manuscript?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so has it been edited and from that point on?
No, I've just written everything down. I've kind of done some editing myself, but professionally, no, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So actually, I would still probably recommend going through the 90 days because you have me as your coach and I can look at your manuscript and
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can see how you have it, compiled. I can see and read it for you. And I can, make some recommendations where you are right now, and then
Okay.
introduce you. And so what I do in my program, I introduce you to my literary professionals. And so I introduce you to my editors, the formatters, the cover designers, and I help you through that process. So I definitely would still recommend you go through it so that, because you may have some questions about your manuscript, and you may have questions about the editing and all that process. And that's one of the benefits of going through the group program, because I'll be there to, help you through that process.
Okay, well, I'm definitely interested. If I could get some information about that maybe afterwards, I definitely
Yeah,
would like
sure.
that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, we would
I have another question.
oh,
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah. And by the way, you have two of us here from Kenya, Joyce and Fidel.
okay.
So all the way. Awesome, yeah. So I'm wondering whether it matter whether we should go ahead and make our book into an audiobook, because right now there's so many people who are not stopping to read, but they're listening to books as they're working, as they're driving. I'd like to know what you'd say about that.
Yeah, audiobooks. Yeah, audiobooks are great. Audiobooks are expensive to create as well. You have to make sure that there's an audience that's going to listen to your audiobook. And like I said, they can be very expensive to create because you're paying someone to read your story, and there's a contract that comes along with that. And so it can be very costly for you, but you want to make sure that you consider the cost of that. So yeah, people want to listen to audio and they're really good, but I also know that you just have to make sure that the money that you're going to spend is really, a good investment for you to do that.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah.
Okay, and so someone is asking on the chat line in regards to the 90-day program. And as I replied to them that once you send me the information, then I can be able to relay it over to everyone. And even I'm going to send it to the ones that was not able to attend. We had a big registration. Sometimes some things come up where some people, may get, in the hustle and bustle and what have you. And so I'm going to send it over to everyone, and that way they can be able to relate back to you. So any more questions that we have before we end the presentation on today? Okay, great. So thank everyone for attending today. We had a lot of information. This just really just sparked me once again to be able to go in there and I was just thinking about something. It's autobiography. We never think about the fundamentals of what we can be able to create. With content. Sometimes, like I explained earlier, I'm a mystery woman, but a lot of times individuals are catered towards different other niches at this time. So that was very, very great. And so we thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
It was a great presentation, and we hopefully can be able to have you back on the presentation with us in the fall, and we can be able to continue because people are always writing books, and even after, while this pandemic is going on, people are going to be sharing so much of what they have experienced through so many losses and so many gains.
Yes, yes. I would love to come back on. Thank you so much, Diane. I appreciate the opportunity. And those who are here, thank you for joining me. I look forward to connecting with you and helping you push those books out.
Okay, and thank you so much. And everyone, have a great day and thank you.